Okay, my next project here is to do with mounting my GoPro. Now in the past, with my Hero 4, I used to mount this on my jacket, like there, underneath the helmet. On the top of my jacket, I'd zip my motorbike jacket up. I had this camera hanging upside down, because there's a feature where you can tell it to always flip the camera if it's upside down, and it does it automatically. And so I made use of that feature, and so I had this thing somehow like that. I had a few clamps, and the whole thing just gave me a bit of a hook like that, and I just hang it over the top of my zipper. I could sort of clamp it a little bit tighter, and then I could spin this or flip this up and tighten it in the position. A few problems with that. One in particular bugs me, is that when you're on the Ducati on the 900, you're laying down really flat on the bike. And so the angle that the camera needs to be is like that. So when you're sitting up, it needs to be like that, so that when you lay down for riding, it points forward. And then whenever I stop at the lights or just sit up a bit or whatever, the camera points to the sky. And that's just an irritation. So I can't really show what's around me without upsetting the camera, and yeah, it's basically a disaster. Next issue is it's too low on my bike, because again, we're not sitting upright. Normally up in my neck area would be good because I'm sitting upright, and if we're sitting upright, but again, we're not on the Ducati, we're laying down a bit, and the camera tends to sit inside the fairing. That's where it looks out, and you get this nice view of the instruments and a view from inside the fairing, but I don't think it's a great view. Maybe for a race, but not for riding around the country looking at stuff. And the next thing is the ability, I want to be able to have the camera look where I look sometimes. I don't like the videos where it's around all the time, but that can't be avoided if it's on the helmet. But it's just nice when you're riding along to be able to look off to the side and have the camera go there as well. If I see something nice landscape or whatever, I want to be able to point it out and see it. Again, not possible when it's hanging off my neck, right off my collar. Doesn't work, it just moves a little tiny bit. And so those are three issues. Oh, and the last one is, of course, every time I took my helmet off when I stopped, I'd have to unplug the wiring, because the mic is up inside my helmet, and I have the wire in here, and I'd undo it, plug it into this thing, which is a stupid system, that GoPro have never got the audio connection right. On the current ones, you do finally have a proper 3.5mm, but you have to buy a big housing for it, so it's just a joke. GoPros, I don't recommend GoPros at all. I like the new 9, hated the 4, skipped all versions in between. They're just not up to it. The video quality is good. That's the great thing. The video quality is good. So the plan is obviously to get the thing onto the helmet. I'm not going to put it up top. I think that's a silly place. Some people mount them on the side and you see the helmet. That's silly. Some people have this kit where you go around where it mounts, sticks there because there's often no place here. And then they use all the bars to stick it around, or there's other kinds of stuff with the visor in the way. So it sticks there, and then we're using a bunch of these kinds of things. You move it around to the front and have it pointed there. That just seems too crappy to me as well. And I sort of don't want to muck up my helmet. Eventually, when I got the GoPro 9, I thought, oh well, stuff it. We'll just go ahead and muck up the helmet. And stick one of these on. I'll stick it on the front. And I was looking at this, trying to figure out how it's going to fit. And when you have your visor on, and that's down, that reduces that space even further. And so it's not that great. I could potentially do it that way if I used a rotating mount of some sort. I want to keep it as tight as possible to the chin. I don't want to have a whole bunch of, connectors and these kinds of thingies sticking out. Really just want to mount it on this little plate, and just have the ability to flip it up and down a bit to adjust it for the right height. Okay. And I was umming and ahhing about that, and then the other night in bed I all of a sudden realized, oh, hang on, my helmet has a slot in it, doesn't it? Why don't I? And oh yeah, the thing was that the curve of these things are curved or they're flat, and neither of them fit well. So I didn't really trust that the 3M sticky was going to hold it very well. So I was envisioning, oh, what am I going to have to do? Have a lanyard or some crap? And then I thought, hey, hang on, I think I've got a slot there. So I could, there's a grill in there. What I think I'll do is pull out the grill, or if that just doesn't work, if I can't do that cleanly, I might put a couple of holes through it. Or one. Depends on whether I use the sticky or not. I'm hoping to not use the sticky. If I don't use the sticky and just put it through, I'll take off this and just use a piece of, use some closed cell foam on there so that it gives it a bit of a squishy surface to mold itself to the helmet, but doesn't actually stick to it. And I'm thinking a countersunk screw there and a countersunk one there going through to the other side. Perfect. That's what I want to do. And so that's it. I'm going to pull apart this whole thing and see what we can do. I may as well go ahead with that now. Let's just have a quick look. So put all that one away. This stuff here. Now, I know this all comes apart because this helmet, I like the helmet. I don't recommend it. I like it, but I don't recommend it. It's a noisy helmet. It's not for high speed. A lot of wind noise, and it's just not a slick helmet. I don't really like a helmet that you can't clip down properly. The button on it, it's got a little clip to sort of emulate like it's got a button, but like a snap, but it doesn't. It's just a magnet. All it does is it holds the little leather flap down. It doesn't actually hold the top, the visor in place. So that's not safe. And then also these things all came falling out within a few months. Not those, but the bits that are stuck in there, they all came falling out. Not the end of the world. Easy enough to stick back in, which I did. So what I'm going to try and get out is this piece here. So I'll undo. This is where I've got the mic. It's a Rode lavalier mic. And I just have it around those little snaps to give it the wire a bit of tension. Run the wire around the back under all this stuff and out the other side. And I'll leave a certain amount out like that so I can plug it in. And if I don't want to use it, I can just shove it under this piece here. So it's really convenient to do it like that. Okay, there's all that junk out. There's the mic, and you've got to have this thing, the dead cat. That's vital. That's what makes it work, really. Without that, it's just a whole lot of wind noise. So there you can see my piece of foam, piece of closed cell. That's what I'll use, actually. Because this helmet, it fits my head. That's the thing. That's what's nice about it. I got a big head, and this fits my head. If I ride any other helmet, this part here is really, really fat like that. And so to get one my size, I end up with a huge, huge helmet. A little face squished in there middle. That looks ridiculous. But this one's just about right. I like the look. It fits nicely. But it's quite tall. It's a little bit too tall, so I just put a 1/4 inch of closed cell up there to lift it lift it up on my head a little bit. Must be a Neanderthal or something. Okay, so we're going to try and pull this out. Okay, a piece of foam. That's a little piece of styrofoam. There we go. See, that's how it happens. This stuff here, their glue from the factory just doesn't stick on the inside. This is what all the other parts were like. Doesn't stick to much at all. I mixed up a resin, sort of a lot of those resins, they claim they dry hard. They tend to remain a little bit soft. I wonder how strongly this is stuck in there. It's just not. Everything in this is just... There you go. See? Everything. It all just pulls apart. Right. So I've cracked that bit of styrofoam there a little bit, that's fine. Got to be careful with the glue that you use on the styrofoam that it doesn't wreck it, dissolve it. Okay, so this panel at the back, it does pop out, but it's only meant to pop in once and stay there. So let's just, I'd be able to modify that so maybe I can take it in and out. Because, you know, what I'm thinking is I could get access to the back of the screws, and if I want to remove the thing for good, right now just remove it again, I could just unscrew it without pulling all this to pieces by maybe popping this off. Alternatively, I put the screws through to there, but I don't really want anything sticking out because it's going to put a hole in my chin if I have an accident. Oh, there we go. You just distort the whole thing. That's what does it. There's a useless little feature, right? This thing here. Pointless. It's supposed to be a vent. I mean, this is the stupidity. This is supposed to be a vent. You reach in with your thumb and you go like that, and it's supposed to get air from the vent through to you, to your mouth. But the place the air is supposed to go, it's more likely to come through there. So it does nothing to the outside there. All right, it does nothing to the outside. That's just open all the time. But then that doesn't have anything venting to it. So those do nothing. And the bit in the middle, right, they're saying, oh my God. So they're saying that the air comes the air is supposed to somehow come through that the grill at the front, and then travel along this little channel here, out there, which is blocked off by that pretty much. So that bit of styrofoam sits in there, but the air would have to yes, it would have to go, I think it would have to come down those two holes. Yeah, so off is like that, where these little side slots are blocked, and then on is like that. And the only path for the air is through the slot at the front, then through this thing, and then it hits this barrier. And if you've got it in the up position, it can go into that little tiny hole there, and that little tiny hole, and come out that little tiny slot. And if it manages to get past this barrier, which sits in there and basically covers this whole thing up permanently, then it could maybe come out here and feed you the breath of life. Meanwhile, you've got this thing sitting on your head, and this entire bottom area is open, right? Like an inch space all the way around there. It's just absolutely, completely, utterly hopeless. Why? I don't know why I went off on that tangent. But there's a lot of things on these helmets that are just for the looks. Just stupid. Look at that workmanship, that bit of glue there. That was on the helmet, that was the bit, so when I re-glued it, I glued it to the bit of sticky here that was on it. I need to cut that off. Alright, so now, the grill thing there, okay, that's a piece of mesh glued on. Obviously, the only way to go through that is to pull it all off or to put some holes in it. That is well and truly stuck on there. Silicone all the way around. I mean, I could probably pull it off, but if I pull it off, it's not going to be useful for sticking back on. So I might just have to do couple of holes. And then the holes are going to go through... Is this all there is? What was the other bit? There was another big plasticky bit, wasn't there? There it is. Okay. So, that's going to be in there permanently. Screws will come through. They'll come through to this thing. Let's say up is open. I'll just say it's up is open, down is off, so it's that way. And yes, if I can modify this so that I can very easily get it in and out of here without pulling all this off. So I'll change these little bits here to make them a little bit less, a little bit more, just take off a bit or something so I can push it in and out without wrecking the thing. So that can go in and out, at which point you're looking at that. That's in there. As for the screws, I might have to forfeit this, the use of this. So the screws would go into there. Actually, it's going to be in the middle, isn't it? It's going to be right in the middle. Assuming that is in the middle. Yes, that is. That's closed, that's up. Oh, I'll just have to recess this. Okay. So what I'll do, obviously, this is going to be on there. So clearly the holes are going to be somewhere about there and there, roughly. And it's going to be pulled up against, not against here. Well, I could do that. Well, that's a possibility. Yeah, I could just take out some of this from there to there, and there to there. Basically, you know, imagine taking a 10 mil bit or a 12 mil bit and just putting it right through there, so to create a bit of a space all the way through, and then the washer and the nut would sit up against here, up against the back of the slot. Yeah. And that's really solid. Otherwise, they're sitting up against this foam, which is just styrofoam, which is not very solid. Okay, that's what has to be done. So I think I can mount it in here. I think I can mount one of them. First I need to see if I can get a spinning piece, which I can. The one I've got, which the camera's on right now, is slightly off center, so I don't really want it off center. I'd then have to mount this like that. I'll turn it, or I mount it like this. Got to keep it away from the visor, but really it should have that. I'll have a think about that. I think I'll mount it down like that. And so what I'm going to be doing is I've got these screws. These are M3s that I just found in some of the gear I bought. I actually was looking for replacements for the screw that's at the bottom of the headlight on the bike. That's what these are. So I can put them in there. I'll compromise very slightly. I'll touch it a little bit. So the point at which they're going to be put through is about that high. Not dead center, but a few millimeters up. Okay, I'm going to go for sort of a compromise. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, so these screws, I'm going to drill that. I don't know if this is visible. Right. Yep. So we're just going to do this, flatten these two screw heads. As they always say, don't use the side. Be risky if it got caught in there, so none of this is good. So I'm just going to use my fingers like that, I think. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. This is better. I'm going to take my drill. I'm going to mount it in the drill. And do that. Okay, glass is on. Here we go. Put the bigger glasses on. These ones. Just taking it to where it doesn't make a sharp edge, which actually looks just right. I think that will be just fine. Perfect. Take some 1200. Next part of this problem is how to make it all fit. How to make the holes in this little grill. See, there's this little grill, which I'm resigned to stuffing up. I'm resigned to putting a couple of holes in there. One method I'm thinking is to pick a hole and just force this through it to just stretch it a bit, because it's a wire mesh, and if I cut it, you know, making a mess. But if I just pick a couple of holes and push to stretch, well, I'm not really making a mess. Wouldn't be too hard to replace that with something else if I wanted to. Let's see. Guess one thing I should do is mark the center. Nah, I don't really have to. It's obvious where the center is. Let's bring this around a bit. Right there. because you can't quite get to the exact spot. Try and go to the upper one. And this one, it's on the lower one. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine, you see? I'm just letting this thing shape the hole. This actually looks legit. It's smooth on the back. Screws are going to go straight through that very nicely. Let me just enlarge them a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Just going to do it from the back. And there are no breaks in the wires. Yeah, that's going to fit perfectly right there. Perfect. This is what I was thinking in my head during the night when I thought about this. And it's all worked perfectly. Now I've got a big washer here for the other side. I'm thinking of, I thought if I had a big one I could possibly bend it, because this piece here is actually curved. It's sort of warped out like that. And this one here would stop it from being squashed up against here, but I don't think it really matters at all. Okay. All right, I'm going to go get some foam. Back in a sec. Okay, this is the foam I intend to use. Probably this one. It needs to squish down in the middle, and at the ends there needs to be enough of it still present that there's no gap. So I'm going to pull this one off, pull the 3M stuff off, which I'm pretty sure should just peel off. Yep. There we go. So, back to this. Now, as I was saying, I need to have enough foam so that when it's uptight, the thickness of the foam fills the gap at the end. I don't think this one is going to be quite thick enough. It's just borderline. So I've got a slightly thicker one here. This one. I use this stuff on the seat of my, on the top of the air, well, no, what is it, the oil breather tank. They've always got that big, people put a strip of sort of foam, door seal foam down the sides. I used a big thick sheet of this on it to cover the whole thing. It makes it real nice and tidy. It's good. So I think I'll use this one here. Looking for something to cut on. So this is just going to go on here. Now let's do it. This is a bit munged up here. I'll take it out from about there. Okay. Cleaner. Let's have Let's use this one. Ugh. Come on. The old wax and grease remover. I like this, it doesn't leave a film of any sort. It doesn't wreck things like typical plastic like this either. Okay, so that's done. Peel it. Put it on. Then we'll cut it. Ah, come on, blade. A little bit short you are. So that's that. And that's going to sit on here. It's going to squish on. Very nice. So far so good. Oh, I've got to get some holes through there. Maybe a punch. Let's poke a hole through the middle. Like that. And let's try a punch. Yes. Maybe. Yep, that is fine. Okay, looking good. What I haven't done is taken anything off this top edge for that visor. I don't think I will bother. I think I can move this thing up and down slightly, and in fact in the bottom position, part way down that edge, I think that's exactly where I need it to be. I could go up top to where it's just above that edge. I'll keep it down, keep it mounted downwards. Now, of course, sticking a nylock on there is a bit of a pain in terms of having to hold it, but it's better once it's on. These were for, this is when I was looking for screws for the screen, the windscreen on the Ducati. In the end, I have actual yellow lock nuts, originals. So I'm happy with those, obviously. So next, we're just going to hold these. So with the camera of interest, I'm using this mic here, the little Rode Wireless Go. So we'll see how that goes. It's clipped onto my shirt. How great is that? That's not tightened, but that's what I wanted. I mean, how perfect is that? It's not going to fall off. It's not like the sticky ones. If the sticky ones, you still need a little lanyard to hold the camera onto something. they sell little lanyards that you also stick onto the helmet elsewhere, and then you run a cable over to the camera. But I'm not going to need anything like that. Very cool. So I'm going to have to cut these. Okay, I've got the Dremel here. Put a cutting disc on it. I'm going to have a go at cutting these. Not easy to get a good angle on this. Right, that's the angle there. Now I could just leave them on, but I won't, because I want to get those threads cleaned up. And if anyone wants to know, the length of the threaded portion is 16 millimeters. Well, here we go. It's mucking up the paint a little bit there and there, just on the inside. Let's just put a little drop of gloss black on it. Ugh, I need a fresh one of these. Keep this handy in case I nick the frame or something while I'm doing something on the bike. It saves the tears. And a little drop of gloss on it. If it's something I might do again, I actually put a piece of black tape on it just to protect the area. I do that quite in a few places on the bike, like where you take the tank on and off. Okay, the battery finally ran out on the GoPro, so I've just put another one in. This time I got 3 batteries with the GoPro, 2 for the charger, 1 in the camera. Let's just slot this one in. Good. That's not the one I'm using, but just so we can see, I mean, that has got to be way tighter than any sticky mount, that's for sure. Yeah, it's not being tightened up solid against something solid. It's being tightened up whilst leaving it a bit loose with the foam there. So yeah, it does actually need the nylox. Okay. So I'm just going to fix up that little bit first and then drill the whole thing. I need to modify this piece here so that it goes in and out easily. the middle bit is enough to hold it all in. These side bits don't really even matter. Yeah, that's gotta be looser. That's gotta be loose. Okay, next step. Let's clean this thing up. I'm cleaning up this magnet here. So I've got to glue this into the styrofoam there. Like that. And then this whole thing is going to be glued into here, but put in here first. So in fact, I really need to get it in here first. Yeah, it's not going to be glued in there. It's just clipped on there. Oh, I've given this a bit of a spray there to clean it up. And I'm going to mix up some more of this. We'll start with these edges. And we'll get a rag. So we're going to push it through like that. And just wipe it off the back, and then we'll do that again. Oh, of course I've gone and stuck it right there. Oh well. Came off easily. So and then here as well, I'm going to push it through. So this is going to sit in here like that, and it's not glued, but the battery is glued into this little area. Battery? I mean the magnet. The battery. Gotta clean this helmet up when I'm finished. So, that's going on, that's going on. Those two, and those two. So in the end, what's neat about this is the entire mount is just this. That, plus the nuts and the washers. That's the whole mount. And in here, the only thing visible is if you look inside, you can see the holes there, but they're not very obvious. That's if I ever took it off, which, I mean, sure, one day I'll take it off. Who knows? So, in my last bit of footage yesterday, I got out of sync with the on-off button and ended up recording the bits in between the bits I wanted to record and not the bits I wanted to record. Again, these silly cameras, the way they work, just does that. In any case, I'm not sure where I got to, but I finished this, finished the job, put it all together, wired it up, microphone there, wire goes around, comes out here, and then it drops down and I can plug it in. Here's the camera. I'm recording this now on my old GoPro, and so here's the new one. And the plan was, of course, to mount it like this. And is. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out like that and use it, and of course put it down, tighten it up. Ball joint lets me adjust to fine thing, and I can plug the microphone into the socket here on the back. That's how that's going to work. In addition, I'm going to then flip it upside down, because I tried this, ouch, like that. And if you put your helmet on, it seems really good. It's not in the way. And the coolest thing of all is I can see the back of the screen, so I can see if it's on. I can touch it, reach in and touch it just to check things like the battery and so on. And I'm going to see if that works well enough. Now I need to be able to move this up and down, so there's a limit. It may be pointing down too far. It may be the case that it needs to sit like that, which would not be so great. We'll try it out and see. But yeah, so I'm going to try both. Plus it's quite a bit higher, 2.5 inches or so. The lens gets even higher again, much closer to my eyes where they are. So we're going to do both of these. And otherwise, I've been very happy with the result of this fitting. It's exactly how I wanted it to be. I can pull this out. I can use the socket here to get onto the back and pull out and hold it while I undo the screws, and I can take this off, and no one would be any the wiser that it was ever on there. So I'm happy with that, and we'll see how this goes. This clip was taken a few years ago. This is my old GoPro Hero 4 Silver. It's hanging upside down on my collar, under my chin. The view is through the screen. Good view of the instruments, not a great view of the surrounding area. A lot of noise, a lot of shake. Not that great.
3,000 RPM.
This is my new GoPro Hero9 on my new helmet mount. It's hanging upside down below the mount. The camera is set to horizon leveling and linear mode. This causes the field of view to be very narrow, and we can see there's just a bit of the screen visible. But note how incredibly stable the center distance is and how level the horizon remains all the way through. It's quite incredible, really.
We don't have mask mandates, so who knows what they're doing. Who knows? Anyhow. Jesus, do not pass on the outside of a corner, for Christ's sakes.
And in this clip we see my preferred setup. The camera is now the right way up, so it's sort of in front of my mouth. Horizon leveling is off because my head does that quite naturally. Stabilization is on, so you still get a very nice stable distance. And I have the camera in wide mode. You can see we get the instrument panel, bit of the fairing, plenty of view of the road, so it's really nice. I'm very, very happy with this result, and this is how I use it every time now.
This road, I just wish I could fly down it. They used to do a hill climb here from the, obviously from the bottom up to the top.